Part 48. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 480. The meeting lasted for more than an hour, and Lu Feng explained the product's market positioning, user groups, product positioning, pricing strategy, and anti-counterfeiting signs. In order to prevent some people from making a large number of fakes, extracting profits, and coding in each packaging bag, this can indeed prevent some artificial fakes in the short term. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Lu Feng stood up and said, "The next step is to see your execution ability. Today is the 29th day of the Lunar New Year. The production materials will be faxed to the major branches in a while. This product is far behind the previous instant noodles. It's not big. Debugging the machine, designing the packaging bags, and producing the packaging bags should be fine in 1 day, right?" "1 day?" Director Li was shocked. "Isn't this killing people?" He hurriedly looked at Vice President Ding. The pressure was not small, and Vice President Ding was also stunned. 1 day's time to debug the machine and design the packaging, which is equivalent to a U-turn after a drift on the highway. Seeing that they were a little embarrassed, Lu Feng said to Gao Jiwei, "Tell you, the future is all about execution and speed. You can do it today, and produce a batch of goods on the 30th of the Lunar New Year. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, the children, I just have the New Year's money in my hand, I can buy it immediately, and the business is here. I have clearly pointed the way, and I can't make any money, so don't blame me." "Yes," Gao Jiwei said in a sullen voice, "go ahead and inform all factories to stop producing all products, focusing on this product. Other products are consumed by inventory, and everyone will send New Year's red envelopes." "Who cares about your red envelopes?" Lu Feng found that he was still not ruthless enough, and said, "If people want members, they want to celebrate the New Year, and they want a brave man, they must have a lot of money. The market is important and money is important. Twice the salary." Gao Jiwei gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. "Damn, if you can't win the market, no one will celebrate the New Year." Seeing his stingy look, Lu Feng walked over to him and patted his shoulder and said, "Don't be so stingy, it's a big New Year's Eve, 3 times your salary, just this month. Don't force others, just volunteer." "And at the same time, I'll tell you one more thing." "What's the matter?" Gao Jiwei raised his head. His eyes were full of pain. Obviously he was still thinking about triple his salary. "On the recycling of packaging bags, you can write an article and link it with environmental protection. You can find some people from environmental protection organizations, accept an interview, and talk about the pollution of plastic to the earth, and then you can stand on the moral high ground and go to blame your opponent." Lu Feng raised his eyebrows at him and said, "Do you understand?" Gao Jiwei's eyes lit up. He grabbed Lu Feng's hand with both hands, and said excitedly, "Mr. Lu, your brain, really, damn it, absolutely. Stop talking nonsense, get busy." Gao Jiwei stood up and assigned tasks to everyone, and asked Director Li to record the machine data, and then fax it to the major factories. At the same time, he asked Vice President Ding to design the packaging bags, and try to notify the supporting factories for production in the afternoon. For the first time, Gao Jiwei felt the advantage of owning a supporting factory, that is, it is very convenient to use it anytime. If it is a partner, on the 29th of the New Year, temporarily expedited production of a batch of outer packaging will definitely make you pay painful price. Gao Jiwei was in a daze, and the conference call was endless. Lu Feng was sitting in the office with a teacup on the table, brewing Dianhong tea. The winter sun was shining through the window, and the people were warm. The door suddenly opened, and Gao Jiwei stuck his head in and asked, "Mr. Lu, what's the name of this product?" "Just call it Little," Lu Feng said casually. "It is good." Lu Feng picked up the teacup and took a sip of the tea. It was a little hot. Someone knocked on the door. Lu Feng frowned and said, "Who is it?" "President Lu, it's me, Vice President Ding's voice was much more modest. Come in. Vice President Ding held a drawing board in his hand and put it on the table. There are some sketches on it. The drawings are very good. They are some design drawings of the outer packaging, which are very professional. What's wrong? Lu Feng asked as he put down his teacup. What color is the outer packaging used for this little product? Because it's simply crispy noodles. So I want to show this simply come. Vice President Ding pointed to the picture above with a pencil, and said, but it has to be in line with product packaging and marketing, so I'm not sure. Remember one thing, the ultimate goal of marketing is to let users see your things, and guide users to put you in their own ranks. The most important thing is to guide users to see, which is the most important thing in packaging. It's important. Lu Feng asked him, what packaging is the most on the market now? Red and yellow, these two colors are more bright, and some add green, with a picture of a green rape or something, Vice President Ding said. Lu Feng saw what light yellow and what dark red he marked on it. First of all, your picture is very good, it seems that you are professional. Remember one sentence, if you want to stand out in the crowd, others are pure, you are coquettish, others are coquettish, you are Xiajiabiu, don't follow your ass to eat farts, chocolate noodle, black, with a yellow stripe, the stripe should be 2 fingers wide, write the product name on the stripe. Lu Feng asked, do you understand? Understood, I'll do the draft. Vice President Ding walked away. When he reached the door, he stopped, turned around and forced a smile. Mr. Lu, I'm sorry before. Go, let's go, I'm in my 20s, how can I care about your 40s? Lu Feng waved his hand. After going out, Vice President Ding always felt that what he said just now was not right, so he didn't think much about it, and then went to work. As soon as the triple salary came out, the whole factory was blown up, and the ghosts were willing to go home. They received 900 yuan a month, which is a huge sum of money. GMA Food, tens of thousands of workers in 9 factories became restless, and everyone was so enthusiastic that they even pulled up banners, which said that they will fight the new year and win the market high ground. It was almost noon. Lu Feng stood up to go to dinner. The phone on the table rang. Hello, who is it? Lu Feng answered the phone. Oh, why don't you two fools scold you? Today is a break, you don't scold you, I'm scolding you. What about your products, your marketing, and scaring ghosts? What the hell is Mr. Lu? Move out, New Year's Eve, how about offering incense offerings at home? The other end of the phone cursed. I'm Lu Feng. I didn't want to meet you. You guys are too. You don't have the determination. You can't hold back after being scolded for a few words. Since I'm out of the mountain, don't blame me for being ruthless, Lu Feng said solemnly. It's ruthless. It's just you are Monkey King, and you don't have the ability to come back to life. Let me tell you, this year, it is a sure thing for GMA Food to lose more than 10% of its market share. Really? Let's wait and see. Also, don't scold. I don't want to scold people during the Chinese New Year. If you get angry and go to the hospital, your family will be worried. That's it, I'm going to eat, Lu Feng said, finished hanging up the phone. On the other end of the phone, there was a man in his 30s or 40s. He heard that the other side hung up the phone and slammed the table. He had never seen such a person before. I even called and scolded people. Pretend to be Nima. People in the cafeteria eat quickly, and some even eat standing up. The whole factory is full of enthusiasm. Lu Feng was eating, Gao Jiwei trotted in, grabbed 2 buns and left. Lu Feng grabbed him and said, send 2 people to buy some gun battles. Forget it, I'll go by myself, you're busy. Gao Jiwei trotted out. 3 times the salary means that the salary expenditure has suddenly tripled. This amount of money is not a small amount. Gao Jiwei cannot say hello to the board of directors, but the finance department dare not say no. Many shareholders did not trust Gao Jiwei very much. They were shocked when they received the news. They hurriedly called the secretary of the board of directors. Superior. After lunch, Lu Feng strolled around the factory leisurely, and then went to the production workshop to take a look. After strolling around, I drove my car and went out to buy a bunch of firecrackers and cannonballs, and a cannonball was placed in the center of the factory. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the supporting factory of GMA Foods officially produced the first batch of outer packaging. At the same time, all the machines in the 9 factories have been debugged, and the raw materials are sufficient and can be produced at any time. After the firefight, he went back to the office. The phone on the desk kept ringing, and Lu Feng frowned a little. These people are really looking for scolding. Picked up the phone and said, "Is it over?" "Hey, Gao Jiwei, you don't want to hum me? Who asked you to pay 3 times your salary? How much more money will it cost? Do you know? Our board of directors has decided that you are fired," the other end of the phone shouted furiously. "The board of directors? How come I, the major shareholder, don't know?" Lu Feng asked rhetorically. "Who are you?" It didn't sound like Gao Jiwei's voice was on the other end of the phone. "I'm Lu Feng." "Mr. Lu, Happy Chinese New Year. You don't know, Gao Jiwei doesn't give employees a holiday during the Chinese New Year. What is the Spring Festival market rate, and he gives 3 times the salary. I gave it to you." Lu Feng sat down and said, "Why don't you fire me as a shareholder? I'm not involved in management now, but I hope GMA Food is good. I planned this. Mr. Lu, you are the founder, and you still have to give your face. Everyone's investment is to make money. If you do this, the loss will be too great. You don't know that the wages of employees are now the major expenses, and the profits in the second half of last year have plummeted. I am responsible for what I do. If you lose money, I will sell GFN Electronics to make up for your money. How much do you lose? Is it enough for me to make up for you 100 million? Lu Feng's voice was already full of displeasure. Mr. Lu said that, "Brother can ask for your money, you are a big businessman now, that, Happy Chinese New Year, so did I forgot to call you and say goodbye." The opposite side has been embarrassed smiling. HTT. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 481. After a few polite words, the other party hung up the phone. If Gao Jiwei answered the call, then he would be completely over for today. The last time was because Zhang Fengxia helped him secretly. This time, they may not give Lu Feng face. The commercial market is always like this. Small money is afraid of big money, and big money is afraid of capital. Now the shareholders of GMA Foods dare not offend Lu Feng, firstly because Lu Feng has the ability, and secondly because Lu Feng has money. Factors: these people absolutely call Lu Feng every day to ask for money, and may even squeeze him out of the board. After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the first car of external packaging products was transported into the factory, and everyone unloaded together. It used to take several hours for a car of goods, but now it only took 10 minutes to unload all of them. Lu Feng went downstairs and went to the production workshop. The 2 assembly lines were full of people. As the semi-automated assembly lines capped the packaging bags, a female worker skillfully picked up 5 packs and stuffed them into the cardboard box. The people next to them have begun to seal the filled boxes with tape, and dozens of finished boxes have been piled up beside them. Gao Jiwei, Vice President Ding, Director Li, and a lot of workshop leaders. Today's production workshop is the day with the most leaders. We must ensure food safety. This is the top priority. Let me tell you, once there is an accident caused by food safety, it will make the company fall a lot in the market competition, or even directly destroy it. Lu Fengman his face solemnly commanded. I know, our food safety is the highest standard in China at present, Gao Jiwei said. Lu Feng nodded, pointed to the finished product next to him, and said, "Unpack a box." "Why do you unpack a box?" Director Li asked, a little puzzled. "Eat," Lu Feng said to everyone. "To be a food company, you have to be prepared to eat to the point of vomit, and adjust the taste at any time. At the same time, you must also discover local snacks, research and develop them, because the local food is national, and international." Factory manager Li regurgitated acid in his stomach when he heard the 3 words instant noodles. Since Lu Feng came, he has not eaten. After unpacking a box, Lu Feng glanced at the label in the bag, chewed the noodles and walked around the workshop. He said to Gao Jiwei, who was behind him, "The board of directors called and said they want to fire you." Ah, Gao Jiwei was taken aback. If he was fired this time, he might really get out of the way. "Let me go back and do it with peace of mind. This time, I'm filling you in the summer hole. If you have any bad things in the future, don't come to me. I'm still a mess over there," Lu Feng said casually. "Mr. Lu, why don't I be your vice president?" Gao Jiwei said with a shy face. "I'll go to Jiafeng Electronics to do the market and help Zhu Lidong. Think about the real business, don't think about what you have or not. You are not suitable for Jiafeng Electronics." Lu Feng wiped out his hopes in one sentence. Although Gao Jiwei was a little disappointed, it was also to be expected. Whether it was Zhu Lidong or Zhang Fengxia, they would only be stronger than him, especially Zhu Lidong, who was a tyrannical group in the market. But in his heart, Lu Feng is the most powerful. It seems that nothing can stop him. How can the whole country find a second Lu Feng? Impossible. The salary is high, and the pay is naturally more. During the Chinese New Year, 3 shifts are used, and the machines are kept off by people. There are already dealers' trucks waiting at the door. We strive to spread the goods all over the city on the first day of the New Year. Small commissary. This kind of scene is being staged simultaneously in the other 9 factories. This step can be achieved thanks to Lu Feng's solid foundation for GMA Foods. Important suppliers are established by themselves, or they are equity participations and have autonomy. Only if it is one's own, it will be handy to use. There is a saying that it is better to have a father or a mother than to own it. This is an eternal truth. In the evening, when Lu Feng entered the cafeteria, everyone's faces were full of exhaustion. All they had to do had been done, and the next step was to see the effect. Deputy General Manager Ding still felt a little bit of a drum in his heart. Now he has abandoned the idea that Lu Feng established GMA Food by chance. But no one knows about the market. Tomorrow will be New Year's Eve, so I'll go back to celebrate the New Year. Here's a New Year's greetings to everyone. The follow-up is whether the goods can be rolled out. I'll do everything that needs to be done. Lu Feng looked at Gao Jiwei and said, "If it still doesn't work, it means that the mud can't support the wall, so we won't drink, we will use water instead of wine. Let's drink one." The crowd raised their cups. After eating, Lu Feng chatted with Gao Jiwei for a while, mainly because he was afraid of his expansion, because in a few years, the food industry will usher in a short-term outbreak, and some global food industries will join it. He warned him a few words to keep it in his heart, not to feel that the market is dominating the world as soon as the market breaks out. Crisis is a crisis, there is an opportunity in a crisis, and vice versa. After leaving the cafeteria, Xie Heng, who had been eating in the cafeteria, trotted after him. "Brother-in-law," Xie Heng asked behind his ass. "Sister asked if we will go back tomorrow." Go back tomorrow." Lu Feng glanced at him and said, "Leave at 7 or 8 in the morning, don't oversleep." "That, brother-in-law, my battlefield is not easy to do, it's about to be hollowed out, and Xiao Hong is about to give birth. After having a child, the task is even heavier. I have some money in my hand now, and I want to invest in a fund. The merchant's job is to do the outer packaging, and the supply of raw materials is also fine. With orders here, the business is relatively stable," Xie Hong said with a smile. Then you go talk to President Gao, I can't control it now. Brother-in-law, I know that you have a high prestige in GMA Foods. I will definitely do a good job of what you say. The standard is higher than that of other factories. I will earn you this face, Xie Hong patted his chest and assured. Oh, you didn't say it earlier, I was temporarily arrested to work, and you saw it, everything was produced. When I was eating just now, I handed over the power, and I can't control anything. Now all I can manage is to go back to sleep. Go find Mr. Gao. Lu Feng waved his hand and strode back. Xie Hong froze, turned around and saw Gao Jiwei walking out, then turned back and said, Mr. Gao, stay and stay. What's wrong? Gao Jiwei stopped and asked. I'm President Lu's brother-in-law. Xie Hong first revealed his identity. I know, what's the matter with you? Gao Jiwei asked. I want to get the identity of a supplier, just to provide your factory with packaging bags, raw materials, and so on. Xie Hong stared at Gao Jiwei and said, that's all, let's see. I can't watch it. It's useless for you to look for me. I'm just a part-time worker. Look for your brother-in-law. Gao Jiwei kicked the ball to Lu Feng. Me? Xie Hong turned his head, took out a cigarette from his pocket, handed him one, and said, it's my brother-in-law who asked me to find you. My brother-in-law agreed, our family. Oh, that's it, then you ask President Lu to find me tomorrow and walk through the procedure. Gao Jiwei patted his shoulder and said, that's it? I rely. Xie Hong looked at Gao Jiwei's retreating back, stomped his feet angrily, and muttered, damn, I used to work in the county unit, pushing it around. Xie Hong suddenly discovered that his own high emotional intelligence was not enough in front of these two people. As for the two brothers Zhang Fulu and Zhang Fuqiao, apart from making trouble with Zhang Xiaoyan, even Xie Hong was not as good as Xie Hong. Lu Feng returned to the resting place and called his home. On the phone, his mother kept saying, what are you going to do during the Chinese New Year? I finally come back and stay at home for a few more days. Mom also wants to see you more. The other end of the phone was full of pampering, that kind of feeling like pampering a child, but this feeling made Lu Feng very disgusted. He didn't have these in the last life. His parents just told him what to do and what not to do to make him more self-confident, especially during his postgraduate studies. He basically handled his own affairs by himself, and it was already formed. An independent social personality. Listening to the doting on the phone, Lu Feng seemed to understand why Lu Feng was like that in the past. Under this kind of doting, he would not understand responsibility at all. Okay, I see. I'll go back tomorrow morning. Is Xiao Yan there? Lu Feng asked. Tell her, I'll go back tomorrow. You don't even know how to ask your mother a few words, so I was waiting for you to come back, and you just, Okay, I'm a little tired, let's hang up first. Lu Feng said a few words and hung up the phone. He couldn't face the warm greetings on the other end of the phone, as if he was accepting a gift from a stranger. Under the night, every household lights up the lights, and some even light up the lanterns. Most of the families are basically reunited tonight, only the office buildings in the capital are still lit. In the office, Mr. Zhou was still on the phone. He contacted several food companies. The unified goal of everyone now is to erode the market of GMA foods. Several more targeted products have been launched before the Chinese New Year. Let me tell you, these drinks will definitely explode when they are released. At present, the manufacturer is still producing, and some markets have begun to distribute goods. The effect is very good. These days, the children just have lucky money in their hands. I talked to that Mr. Lu today, good guy, he's not big and his tone is not small. Really? Ha 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 ha, what did you say? Did you scold you? I scolded him, but the kid didn't dare to talk back. It's funny, even when I acted as an uncle. When I was in charge of the market in Southeast Asia a few years ago, he didn't even grow his hair. What do you care about? Just like Gao Jiwei, who can be around. I have made a prediction these days, the market on the mainland side, if it is slow, it will be 4 or 5 years, basically it is the same as the Southeast Asian side. The market is almost in a pattern, and their companies can't compete at all. 4 or 5 years is too long. In 2 years, the unity will account for 30%, we will account for 40%, and the remaining 30% will be handed over to local small businesses to share. Ha ha ha, it's so fast, let you say that, I feel it's really possible. HTT. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 482. In 1993, Master Kong and Uni President had just started to enjoy the dividends in the mainland market, especially Master Kong, which was registered in Tianjin in 1991, and officially produced the first package of braised beef noodles in the summer of 1992. It was an instant hit and quickly occupied a large market. Everything came too easily. In a world without GMA food, they basically walk sideways for the rest of the time, except for the rise of local companies such as Baixiang and Hualong a few years later. Especially after the success in food, he turned his attention to the beverage market again, and stomped on Wahaha head-on. It is very difficult for such an enterprise not to expand, especially now that the economy on the island is developed and the market is very prosperous. It is oppressive to mainland enterprises in terms of marketing, products, and processing technology. At night, Xieheng was lying on the bed tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. He always felt aggrieved. He married Zhang Xiaohong and planned to let Lu Feng help him. The child was about to be born. He also told Zhang Xiaohong several times, but it was useless. The brothers Zhang Fuqiao and Zhang Fulu sleep in the same room, but no one talks to anyone. Everyone has their own plans in their hearts. For them, this year is a tough battle. They are very clear about one thing, it is impossible to conquer Lu Feng, and they can only start with their own sister. Early the next morning, 5 stair trucks were already parked at the door of the warehouse, the decorators were already busy, and the people on the night shift started to leave work. After getting up and taking a shower, Lu Feng simply ate breakfast, said hello to Gao Jiwei, and got into the car back home. It was almost 10 o'clock when he got home, and a group of people were busy putting up couplets. Lu Feng went upstairs, and his parents came out to greet him. His mother took his arm and kept talking, but Lu Feng could only laugh without saying a word. Entering the room, Lu Feng saw that Zhang Xiaoyan's eyes were a little red, and it looked like he had cried, and after a little thought he knew why. The tobacco, alcohol, tea, and sugar on the table were placed again, and Zhang Xiaoyan sat beside Lu Feng. "What's wrong?" Lu Feng asked in a low voice. "It's all right, by the way, you have an old classmate who came to you and said that there is a class reunion this year," Zhang Xiaoyan said. "It was the son of the 3 leprosy in the village who had a big snot when you went to school in the village," the mother reminded him and said, "The family is not bad now, and I came here yesterday wearing a suit and a slate." "You're right, I bought a cigarette for your dad, which is precious." Lu Feng's previous memories are long gone, and it doesn't matter whether he is the 3rd leper or the 4th leper. "I don't want to participate either, forget it," Lu Feng refused. "Let me tell you, this has to depend on fellow villagers. Wherever you go, you have to rely on your own people. Some of your classmates are not bad. The nephew of Erlu is also the big boss now. Don't look at his grandfather. With such a donkey-like nature, that child is really not bad." Dad was talking and gesturing, looking like someone who had come over. "That's true," Zhang Fuqiao also said, "in business matters, especially when you meet a fellow outsider, I really want to help you. When I went to the Northeast this year, when I bought a ticket, I bought the wrong time, went to the window and asked people to ignore you at all. When the leader heard my accent, hey, fellow, this matter was handled immediately. It's all human, just to have a meal, maybe it will be used anytime. Everyone, your words, and my words, are nothing more than saying that these days, it still depends on human relationships, and there are many friends and many ways. They are all people who have come here and know more than Lu Feng. Lu Feng raised his head and glanced at the quartz clock hanging on the wall. It was already 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, let's not talk about this, I'm a little hungry. I'll be fine soon, I'll take a look. Mom stood up and walked towards the kitchen. Lu Feng found out that no matter how successful you are or how old you are, once the elders in the family start to point fingers, they will feel that they are better than you. Just relying on their mouth to say, I feel that they are all capable people, and when they operate, they all pull their hips. After finally staying up to eat, Lu Feng suggested to drink some bars, go to sleep after drinking too much, and save so much. Lu Feng's drinking capacity is considered acceptable. After all, he often has to go to the dinner table to drink with the leader. A pound of white wine is no problem. After drinking this wine at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he lay on the kong and fell asleep. The couplet has been posted. According to the general process, women should make dumplings in the afternoon. If they don't make dumplings, they will play cards. The melon seeds and dried fruits were brought up in a mess, and they sat chatting together, waiting for dinner. After the Chinese New Year, it was just eating and playing cards. Lu Feng's side is quite leisurely. The first batch of products in the major factories of GMA Food has been produced, and the trucks are delivering to the major distribution points. For some small shops and supply and marketing cooperatives in some townships to provide door-to-door delivery, the requirement is a certain cost. Within the range, spread the goods as much as possible. In the county, Lu Zhang called an old classmate. Hey, how are you? Is Fengzi back? The other end of the phone asked. I'm back, I saw his wife, and he just wasn't there yesterday. You said that this game is so difficult. When he was in school back then, but our little brother was led by the 4th grade second pole to block the toilet. At that time, I was the one who brought someone to rescue him. Lu Zhang said a little unhappily, you're not bad, and now you have 1.8 million in your hands, right? That's all in the past, people are rich now. I just want to talk to him about investing in an outsourcing factory. Lu Zhang, let me tell you this, just me, if there is no Fengzi, I am the first one, no one dares to recognize the second, do you believe it? It's for sure, you go out now, who doesn't call President Hu, the assets of 1.8 million are just a joke, just your Audi car, big brother, it's definitely a boss level. Lu Zhang boasted. What 1.8 million, don't always mention 1.8 million, okay, the other end of the phone said impatiently. I'm not bragging about you, but Mr. Hu, I knew you when you were in the 1st grade, just 2 words, low-key. Be low-key, I'm obviously worth 2 million, damn it, Mr. Hu said very unhappily, it's the first day of the new year, there are other things on the second day of the new year, don't say I'm looking for it, people if you ask him for something, he will definitely not come. Oh, don't worry about this. After a few chats, the two hung up the phone. Tomorrow will be New Year's Eve, and the fireworks have already started tonight. When it was time to eat, Lu Feng's father, Zhang Fuqiao, Zhang Fulu, and Zhang Xiao Yan's father woke up. Sitting at the dinner table, Zhang Fuqiao opened his mouth first and said, Lu Feng, no matter how much money you make, it's not as good as being an official. I've been thinking about things for the past year. As for my family, it can be considered as getting rid of it. You are poor, but you are not imposing when you go out. Think about it, no matter how rich you are, people will not earn your money and give you face. Several elders nodded one after another. They have a very persistent belief in being an official. Even the richest man in the world is not as good as a county magistrate. When Lu Feng heard this, although it felt like a discussion when he said it, he was pointing you inside and out. That, Xiaohong, Lu Feng said towards Zhang Xiaohong, bring 2 more bottles of Fengjiu over here, and get a 52-degree wine. Don't drink, everyone waved their hands. Drink some, drink a little less. Lu Feng took the wine and poured a glass each. With the bursts of fireworks outside the window, the people at the dinner table exchanged cups, and the elders who are drunk are the good elders. After eating, everyone packed up the dishes. The Spring Festival Gala had already started in some places. Song Swimei watched for a while and called Zhang Xiaoyan to the next room. Mom, what's wrong? Zhang Xiaoyan closed the door and asked. Xiaoyan, Mom recently heard that there is an old Chinese doctor in Hejiazhuang who specializes in the treatment of infertility. It has been treated for a lifetime. It's amazing. Let's go back on the first day of the new year and show you Song Swimei, he said earnestly. You haven't seen your mother-in-law, she's just talking inside and out. It's not a way to go on like this. I see. Lu Feng treats me very well. He is different from others. He said that it is okay to have no children in the future. Don't listen to that kind of nonsense. It's all a lie to women. People have money and they can change it whenever they want. What should you do? Sitting on the street alone and crying, Song Swimei sighed while looking at her daughter. Said, if only you had half of Xiaohong's heart and eyes. Xiaohong is pretty good too, just live, who's not like this? Zhang Xiaoyan retorted, it's good to be sincere and sincere. What do you need to do with so many hearts and minds? Are you tired? Look at you, Xiaohong now has all the money in Xiaohong's family in his hands. You think Xiaohong is a fuel-efficient lamp, but he doesn't dare, or else he will go out of the house. Song Swimei taught, you have to slowly take all his money into your own hands, understand? Where is he rich? He is all in debt, Zhang Xiaoyan said a little unhappily, I know about my own affairs. Song Swimei was angry when she saw her, but she couldn't say too much. She sighed and said, you can do it yourself, don't suffer so much that I cry, the old doctor has already made a decision. The two murmured for a long time, then opened the door and walked out. Lu Feng's mother came over to be polite and sat there watching TV together. Lu Feng didn't want to look at it. He sat by the window and saw the goose feather snow drifting outside. Gradually, the whole world turned white. This was the first heavy snow he saw this year. Rugzhu is a good year, I hope this year will be a good year. Lu Feng muttered to himself, but what he was thinking about was whether Zhang Wanmen had made a decision or not. He hoped that he would change some of the processes of history, trigger a little butterfly effect, and make his journey a little smoother. HTT. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 483. After 9 o'clock in the evening, everyone began to breathe heavily. For today's people, going to bed after 10 o'clock in the evening means staying up late. Families with TVs basically fall asleep after watching the 2-episode series at night. In rural areas, those lacking entertainment activities and those without TVs often fall asleep at 8 o'clock in the evening. Today's families have so many children, which is mainly directly related to the lack of entertainment at night. Lu Feng stretched his waist, put on his slippers, and said to Zhang Xiaoyan, don't watch, go to sleep. Back in the room, the two lay down. Zhang Xiaoyan couldn't sleep, glanced at Lu Feng who was confused beside him, and whispered, my mother said she found me an old Chinese doctor. Don't take it to your heart, don't think too much, you will go back after the new year, and I have told you that if you have not come back, you insist on coming back, and you will not be happy for yourself, sleep. After Lu Feng finished speaking, he turned over, facing Zhang Xiaoyan, with one leg on her body, and one arm wrapped tightly around her. Zhang Xiaoyan shrank back slightly and leaned halfway into his arms, feeling very happy. She never thought that how much money could make her happy, she just thought that this man was really good, maybe this is the so-called little comfort. The next morning, woken up by the sound of firecrackers, the children changed into new clothes and had fun everywhere in groups. The air was filled with the smell of fireworks. When I opened the curtains, it was already a white world outside. Looking out, the roofs were covered with thick snow, which looked soft, giving people the feeling of a fairy tale world. Some children got the lucky money in advance, and they rushed to the canteen or the supply and marketing cooperative as soon as possible. These few days are definitely the time for them to indulge. By that being a child pointed at the product above, confident. 7 or 8 children turned into big money, ready to sweep the supermarket to show their super purchasing power. What is that? One of the children saw a small black bag on the shelf. It was too conspicuous. Compared with the red and yellow packaging bags around, it looked like a cool young master. Well, the goods just arrived, instant noodles, said to be chocolate instant noodles, but they are delicious, the boss of the supply and marketing cooperative was promoting. I want one of that. How much is it? The child asked, looking at the money in his hand, for fear that it would not be enough, showing his timidity. 2 cents. Let me tell you, this bag can be used for money. It seems like a bag is worth a few cents, and it can be changed, but don't throw it away after you eat it, and save it up. The child took a bag of small dots and tore it apart. All the children gathered around and saw a black dough. Like charcoal, ha 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 ha. Is it delicious? Give me a bite. I also want. In an instant, 4 or 5 small hands stretched out and curled their fingers, forming a small pit in the palm of their hand, which looked like they were begging for food. The noodle cake was originally not big. One piece was broken, another one was a little, and the child finally took a small bite, chewing it in the mouth. It was crisp and crunchy, and the more chewed it, the more fragrant it became. I'll have another bag. I want that little one. 2 bags can top the money, add 30 cents for 2 bags. This scene has been staged in many canteens and supply and marketing cooperatives. Children who originally wanted to eat other instant noodles turned to this little one. The portion was too small. After just 2 bites, it was gone. They bought it again, and then chewed 2 more bites. On New Year's Eve, more than half of the previously produced products have been sold by the data returned by terminal sales, and buyers are still in an endless stream. According to the parents' words, this stuff is addictive, it doesn't give you a chance to eat it, and the greedy worm is hooked, and it's gone. In the GMA food factory, Gao Jiwei received one phone call after another, and his face almost burst into laughter. Although he had always trusted Lu Feng and had confidence in this product, it was a precursor to such a boom. It still made him overjoyed. Pushing open the door of the office, Gao Jiwei shouted towards Director Li's office, "Director Li, go buy a cannon, fire it for me, inform the cafeteria, give everyone a good meal at night, work harder and continue production." The sound of firecrackers seemed to be insufficient to express Gao Jiwei's joy. He asked someone to pull out the gongs and drums in the warehouse, tied a red ribbon to himself, and led the group of Vice President Ding and Director Li to the employees in the snow. Twisted Yanko. Excitement, hope, and the atmosphere of the Chinese New Year, everyone's emotions are very high, all of which indicate that the year of the rooster is destined to be a good year. 9 factories, nearly 60,000 employees, produce 24 hours a day, with a daily output of up to 200,000 boxes, each box of 50 packs of small and simple noodles. According to this trend, 200,000 boxes should be sold every day. No problem. The single-day sales are 2 million, and the monthly sales are 60 million. The sales of a single product has broken the monthly sales data of 30 million maintained by Gao Jiwei in the summer. However, Xiaobudian's profit is almost zero, and even because of door-to-door delivery, overtime pay during the Chinese New Year and other reasons, it is subsidized. These are not important, the market is the most important. As long as the market is captured, it is only a matter of time before making money. Gao Jiwei did a simple calculation in the office, his hands trembling looking at the data above. What is this? This is God. When will I be able to have half of his abilities? I will also find an electronics company to play with. Gao Jiwei sighed deeply, feeling in his heart that some people are destined it is an existence for another group of people to look up to. He immediately informed the other shareholders of the board of directors. Mr. Gao, you can't calculate like this. If you produce 200,000 boxes a day, you can sell 200,000 boxes. It's not sold out yet. The market is changing rapidly. You must be in awe, but Mr. Liu is indeed capable. You learn more, this product can recover some of the decline. I hope you will make persistent efforts this year and have a good new year. I think it can be done. In the past few days, the market has responded very well. I have confidence in President Liu, Gao Jiwei said. It's good to be confident, let's do this first. I'm going to eat dumplings. The other side hung up the phone after saying that. Gao Jiwei put down the phone and went to the production workshop for the first time. His most important task now is to ensure smooth production. Although it is New Year's Eve in the capital, there are still a lot of parties here. What is the purpose of coming to the capital? It's just for relationships, the presidents of major banks, and the heads of various domestic and foreign financial institutions. Zhou Zhangji and others have participated in many activities recently, and have met many people, and there are countless people who want to invest in them. A man in his 30s hurried into the banquet hall, walked over to President Zhou, and whispered, GMA Foods has launched a new product, which should be made by President Liu, and the distributor will report back below. The news said that they have stopped production of other products, focusing on this one, and the end market sales are good. Mr. Zhou drank a little, waved his hand and said, GMA Food, withered bones in the tomb. I tell you, it is useless for him to call the logo immortal. We just talked with a few bosses about the current situation. Next summer, this is the turning point, when GMA Foods' market share will shrink to less than 20%. No, Mr. Zhou. Don't tell me that. The New Year's Eve, haven't you seen drinking? Mr. Zhou was a little angry. Why is this person so blind? The man said sorry and walked out. Mr. Zhou picked up the wine glass, and a man in his 40s and 50s joked next to him, helps the wine glass, eats dumplings, and holds the elder sister-in-law in his arms. Ha 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 ha. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. There was a peaceful atmosphere there. At noon, Lu Feng's family was having a meal. Several juniors gave New Year's greetings to their elders. Lu Feng's mother also prepared a lot of red envelopes. The more red envelopes were sent, the more uncomfortable they felt. All the money was given to the eldest grandson and nephew of other people's families, and my own family didn't even have anyone. Lu Feng's father told her last night, don't mention it. But the old lady always felt unhappy in her heart. After sending out the red envelopes, let's eat, Lu Feng said to his mother. I don't feel well in my stomach. You can eat. I'll go back to the house to rest for a while, Lu Feng's mother said and walked upstairs. She has a stomach ailment. Let's eat. Lu Feng's father hurriedly stood up to smooth things out. Zhang Xiaoyan's heart is more sensitive. Sitting there without saying a word, Lu Feng took a dumpling for her, and sat there to eat a small bite, obviously something in her heart. Dad, I'm going back with my mother tomorrow. I'll clean up the house and go back to my mother's house in the second day of junior high, Zhang Xiaoyan said, and she decided to go back to see the old doctor. In Shenzhen, as a relatively front-end open environment, for Zhang Xiaoyan, there is not so much pressure, but since her return, the pressure exerted on her by the two families has become overwhelming. Some things cannot be avoided. Oh, okay, my mother-in-law, you can eat it too. Lu Feng's father said politely, when you go back, take some meat and fruits, take some, and buy a lot, but you can't eat them. Everyone was polite. This meal was not as pleasant as imagined. A truck after truck of goods has been launched from the major GMA food factories. In the Spring Festival, a festival of peaceful lights, a feat of sweeping the market is about to kick off. At any time, you must maintain 100% vigilance against the market, and even more so on your business opponents. Once you relax, they may give you a fatal blow. After one day, some grocery stores were out of stock. The boss tried to call the dealer, but he didn't expect a call. On this day, the other party actually said that the goods would be delivered in 2 hours. This kind of speed is incomprehensible to the current supply and marketing cooperatives. An hour and a half later, a delivery truck drove into the town, opened the door, and pulled a car of Xiaobudian Simply Noodle inside. How many boxes do you want? I'll put it here for you, and I have to go to other places for delivery, the driver shouted to the boss in the room. It sells well, keep some more and put 10 boxes. The proprietress walked out and joked, you are here to make money, and you can't pass the year. You give a lot of money, what years to pass, every year, but this money is not necessarily, let's go. The driver greeted him, opened the door and got into the car, and stepped out of town with a kick of the accelerator. HTT. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 484. Trucks full of pets are delivering goods in major supply and marketing cooperatives and canteens, and a myth that is sweeping the food industry is being created. In a blink of an eye, the annual Spring Festival Gala has kicked off. However, this year's Spring Festival Gala did not have much to watch. Zhao Benchen, who has always been valued, his work New Year's Eve can only be regarded as a piece of his sketch career. General Works. This year is the year of the rooster. Even though family planning has been promoted for more than 10 years, the birth rate is still peaking in this year. In order to ensure the completion of the task, some places have even begun to block doors, fines, and various means. On the first day of the new year, Song Swame's family took Zhang Xiaoyan back in the early morning. Today, the official New Year's greetings began. Every child received the red envelopes and ran to the canteen. In the past 2 days, they were attacked by a product called Little Dot, I can't find the north. At noon, major dealers began to feed back terminal data one after another, and the sales were unprecedentedly hot. Some places were out of stock, and supply began to exceed demand. In the office, Gao Jiwei didn't eat. Looking at the data submitted, he couldn't help himself. In one day, according to the market inference, a small product made GMA Foods' market share increased by 15%. Single product. This is something that no product manager can imagine. It is no longer a hit, but an epoch-making product. Vice President Ding and factory manager Li opened the door and walked in. Both of them heard that the data of terminal dealers in major factories had returned, and wanted to come and see. How are the other factories selling? Vice President Ding asked. Gao Jiwei turned his head and said, sales are booming, and there are even 2 factories where productivity is insufficient. For a single product, the single-day record has exceeded 150,000 boxes, and the sales volume is still growing. Single product increases the market share of GMA Foods. Is expected to be around 15%. Every data stimulates the nerves of Vice President Ding. What is the concept of increasing the market share of a company by 15% for a single product? You must know that some medium-sized food companies have a market share of no more than 10% in the country. It is equivalent to that Lu Feng created 2 medium-sized food companies at will. What kind of fairy tale is this? Vice President Ding did foresee that the market for the little ones would be very good, because it was really delicious, but he didn't expect it to explode like this. He felt that his whole body was numb, and Lu Feng in his heart suddenly became taller, and even his back began to glow with gold. When a person's strength is similar to his, he will be jealous, but when the two are very different, all he was left with was prostrate and kneeling. Mr. Joe was still asleep at noon. He drank a lot last night, and everyone had a good time. The assistant knocked on the door several times, but there was no response. The phone numbers of the following major distributors are about to explode, especially the phone calls of the marketing department. The lines were busy for a while, and everyone was reacting to one thing. GMA Foods launched a product, and the sales were so hot that they originally planned to do it during the Spring Festival. Events, raid markets. As a result, the market swooned. After finding the room card and opening the door, the assistant and the general manager of the marketing department rushed in, waking up Mr. Joe. "What's wrong?" Mr. Joe got up sleepily and shouted, "Who let you in? Do you understand the rules?" "Mr. Joe, something big has happened. GMA Foods has launched a crispy noodle called Zyobedian, which has been fried. The market share of a single product is expected to be around 15%. It is said that the single-day sales volume has exceeded 150,000 boxes." exclaimed the assistant. "What? How much market share?" Mr. Joe woke up instantly. "It is expected that if this momentum continues, it will reach 15% within 3 months. Moreover, the sales are so crazy that some manufacturers of GMA food are running at full capacity and have insufficient production capacity. This is the detailed data of this product." The marketing manager put a report in front of him. Mr. Joe's face turned pale after reading it, and he shook his head and said, "Impossible, how is this possible? No one will believe that the mainland with the backward food industry. Such a product would suddenly appear, but he actually appeared. The most absurd thing is that such a product was made by one person in one day." This news not only impacted Mr. Joe's common sense, but also challenged the nerves of the executives of Uni-President Foods. On this day, all corporate executives in the domestic food industry were staring at this report. There is only one shocking thought left in my heart: the God of the food world is back. Do not. God, just passing by. Vice President Ding was very excited. He seemed to have found his purpose in life. If he could follow someone like Lu Feng, even if he was a fool, his achievements would not be low. Gao Jiwei seemed to see what he was thinking and told him that Mr. Lu doesn't even want me, let alone you. The shareholders of the board of directors were in a frenzy. The first day of the new year brought such good news, and they called Gao Jiwei to say their New Year's greetings, but Lu Feng was the one who asked the question inside and out. They wanted Lu Feng to come back and take charge of GMA Foods again. Gao Jiwei clearly told them that it was impossible, and the other party said that he would come back to be a consultant. For products like Zyobedian, 2 or 3 products a year would be enough, and he could pay him a salary. The annual salary of less than 5 million is no problem. Gao Jiwei just told them that if he wants to invite Lu Feng, you can go and invite me, but I won't go, because he knows that no matter who goes, he will be sullen. Lu Feng, who was talking a lot, was now facing a rather awkward situation. Standing at home, Lu Zhang looked at Lu Feng with a little embarrassment. Everyone present was staring at him, because Lu Feng was the best playmate he played with when he was a child, but he didn't recognize him. "You two were inseparable when you were young," Lu Feng's father said to Lu Feng. "We often go to the woods at the east end of the village to dig bird nests together. It's a big change, I almost didn't recognize it." Lu Feng smiled to hide his embarrassment. "People present, look at me, I look at you." Everyone can feel that Lu Feng doesn't want to recognize Lu Zhang. The feeling in his eyes is that he really doesn't know this person. "It's okay, I don't take it to heart. Lu Feng is the boss now, so it's normal that he doesn't want to recognize me. After all, I'm nothing." If Lu Zhang hadn't been doing things for who he really wanted to leave and said, "The students are here today, at the Howard Johnson Hotel in the county. I'm quite busy here, and there are other things to do, so I won't go, Lu Feng declined. If you have anything to do on the first day of the new year, just go to have a meal. Classmate who also wants to see you. It's been a long time since everyone got together. Lu Zhang saw his constant refusal and said, of course, if you don't want to. If you know us poor classmates, then of course you didn't say it. No, no, Lu Feng waved his hands again and again. How is it possible? Everyone is a classmate, it's all a fate from a previous life. Then let's go, just have a meal, and I won't let you pay, Lu Zhang said, took Lu Feng's shoes, put them at his feet, and said, if you don't go, I can give them to you. You're wearing your shoes. Don't. Lu Feng couldn't get off the stage, so he had to put on his shoes. I'll make a call first, let's go in a while, Lu Feng said towards Lu Zhang. It's okay, the car is waiting below, go anytime. When Lu Feng arrived at the room where the phone was placed, he took out Zhang Wanmen's business card. Today is the first day of the Chinese New Year, and it's time to give people a New Year's greeting. He mainly wanted to ask him how he was thinking. After dialing the phone, Zhang Wanmen on the other end seemed to be drinking, and his voice was a little unstable. Who is it? Mr. Zhang, Lu Feng, have a good New Year, Lu Feng said with a smile. Brother Lu, Happy Chinese New Year, have you returned to your hometown? Yeah, I'm in my hometown now. Today, I mainly wish you a new year. By the way, how are you thinking about it? Have you talked to that side? Lu Feng asked. Don't mention it, I've been on the phone a lot in the past 2 days, and I also know a few bosses who act as middlemen. They give more money and more terms, restricting this, restricting that, and I'm a little unhappy with it now. Zhang said with a sigh, obviously a little upset. Where can foreign devils get so much money? They give a lot of money, and they have a lot of rules when signing contracts. It's like we are brothers. Whatever you say is what you say. That's the difference between you and outsiders, Lu Feng sighed and said. Also, if people's money is invested, they will definitely send a financial team here. I'm also worried about this matter. How about we meet after the year? No problem, brother, as long as you need it, you can do it anytime. I still have something to do here. I wish you a happy new year and blessings, and the wealth will flow into the God of wealth. Thanks. After a few polite words, Lu Feng hung up the phone and heaved a sigh of relief. The start of this year was very good for him. As long as he got the VCD, it would be enough to give GFN Electronics a year of respite. After going out, I said something to Lu Zhang, and the two walked downstairs. The car parked downstairs did not turn off, got in the car, and went straight to the Howard Johnson Hotel. In the private room in the hotel, 88 classmates are almost there. 3 tables are full. Most of them are ordinary people, with darker skin and more ordinary clothes. Of the people present, 1/3 farmed in the village, and the remaining 1/3 did small business in the city. Some drove cars, some set up street stalls, and there were 30 or so people. But only 3. Because Lu Feng hadn't come yet, the cold dishes were served, and he couldn't use his chopsticks yet. Classmate who sat in a suit and leather shoes, wearing a famous watch on his wrist. He looked very valuable, and his hair was meticulously combed. In this group of people, he stood out from the crowd. Mr. Hu, I respect you. A short man came over with a glass of wine, with a smile on his face, and said, when I was in school, I was small, and you always liked to tease me. He even pushed me into the cesspool, but it's all right, it's all about the friendship of our classmates. Classmate who glanced at him, recognized who he was, and said, a glass of wine is my apology to you when you were young, drink it. The man drank it and said, I am now farming in the village and want to enter the city. Lu Feng is here, classmate who hurried out of the private room without listening. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 485. The car was parked downstairs. The weather outside was a bit cold. The roads in the county had not been repaired for many years. Dirty, messy, and messy is the most direct portrayal of the county seat. Lu Feng got out of the car, he took a deep breath because of the cold, and tightened his clothes. Lu Zhang got out of the car and said, "It's cold outside, let's go in, you're used to staying in the south, you can't resist." Freeze. Going to the door of the hotel, classmate who had already come out. When he saw Lu Feng, there was a smile on his face. He opened his hands and said enthusiastically, "Oh, old classmate, it's been a long time, I'm getting more and more handsome." It was a big hug when I stepped forward. People who didn't know thought they had a good relationship. Lu Feng looked at the person in front of him, but he didn't remember him at all, so he could only greet him politely, and said, "De Hu, you are also very good. I heard that you have made a fortune. What big who are you meeting me?" Classmate who poked Lu Feng's chest with his hand and said, "I still like the nickname you used to call me when I was in school, Han San." "This nickname is not bad," Lu Feng nodded, always feeling uncomfortable. "I'm far worse than you. You are the pride of our class now. The old class asked me about it last time. He didn't take care of you when he was in school. The relationship is so hard." Classmate who slapped Lu Feng's back with his hand and said, "After all, he came back from a big city, and he looks good when he dresses up." "No, this dress is definitely at the forefront of the times," Lu Zhang flattered. Lu Feng saw a boy who was dressed like him approaching across from him, walking loosely and full of swear words. The three of them fell silent in unison. "It's cold outside, let's go in, there are a lot of people here today." Classmate who winked at Lu Feng and said, "Shi Yanyan is here too." "Shi Yanyan?" Lu Feng tried his best to search for the memories of these people in his mind, but unfortunately it was blank. When he entered the lobby, the students upstairs basically all came down. "This is President Lu of our class. Fengzi is getting more and more handsome. We haven't seen each other for 5 or 6 years. Last time you resigned from the factory, we also drank. When people were in school, I said that this person is definitely not ordinary. I didn't expect to say it. I was clever when I was in school, and I knew that 3 people would copy homework. At that time, you sat in the back row of me and asked me to copy it for you during the exam, and we ended up taking the test for 0. It's nothing for us, the first semester of 5th grade, writing a love letter to Shi Yanyan, my God, it's a sensation." Standing on the dirt playground of the school that day and confessing loudly, I almost forced Shi Yanyan to drop out of school. I didn't expect that after school that day, the two of them gnawed in the woods. Everyone was talking, and an oval-faced girl in the crowd blushed. The girl was not tall, about 1.55 meters, and her face was eroded by wind and frost. She was wearing a linen plaid coat. It seems that life is normal. Speaking of the embarrassing things in the past, Lu Feng could only smile awkwardly. The original Lu Feng was really not a thing, and he started picking girls in the 5th grade. "Let's go up first, that, waiter, serve, serve." When he went upstairs, Lu Feng was definitely the star, the one talking about copying homework in school, the other remembering the fight, and the fight was very enthusiastic, as if he was the center of everyone's world when he was in school. There was a private room upstairs with the door open, and the leaders of the county were sitting, and the noise made them look out. "Who? So many people. Isn't that GMA's Lu Feng? Last year, didn't you say you came to the county to get a factory? Why is there no movement after that?" I made several calls to GMA Foodstuff, and it was answered by Mr. Gao, who said that he had left it alone. Anyway, after a while, the matter was over, and we couldn't find him. I didn't expect to meet him here already. In fact, the director at the time pulled the strings, and everyone understood the twists and turns, but they were a little uncomfortable. You say you don't come, donate some money to your hometown, you don't even have a hair. Have a drink in a while and ask by the way. Lu Feng entered the private room and saw a few female classmates. They chatted for a long time and greeted each other for a year. Most of the people present were married, and some of the children were 7 or 8 years old. Lu Feng was placed in the main seat. Student who sat down beside Lu Feng, next to Lu Zhang. As the food came up, everyone talked about school affairs. Lu Feng didn't remember much about what happened at school, only what they said was what it was. After drinking a little wine, there were a few people who were joking, stood up and said, "Lu Zhang, look at where you sit, Shi Yanyan is right there. Come here, let Shi Yanyan sit there. It's right for me to sit here, Shi Yanyan should be sitting on Feng's lap." Lu Zhang coaxed, "Come, Yanyan, come here and sit up." "It's impossible, everyone is married." Lu Feng saw that they were having fun. "It's exciting when you're married." Lu Feng could see that this Shi Yanyan was not a serious woman. She was dragged to Lu Feng's side with a half push, and someone pushed her next to her. Come, have a drink," a tall and thin man said with a wine glass. "It's also a fulfillment of the dreams of the two of you when you were in school." Shi Yanyan had already picked up the wine glass, her face was flushed, she didn't dare to look at Lu Feng, her face was full of "I would," and Lu Feng was a little unhappy. He knew that the reunion of classmates was either borrowing money to take advantage of the situation or renewing old love, but he was a married person. What is this called? No. Lu Feng's face sank, and he said seriously, "Let it pass. We both have families now. It's not appropriate to do this, so don't make fun of it." Shi Yanyan stood beside Lu Feng and whispered, "I've long been separated from my man." Lu Feng pretended not to hear. Classmate who hurriedly raised his hand and said, "Don't make a fool of yourself, just sit down, Yanyan, go back to your seat." Shi Yanyan raised her head and stared at Lu Feng with some resentment. She turned her head and returned to her position with a quick pace, looking a little unhappy. "Come on, let's raise a glass, let's go for our classmates' friendship." After 3 rounds of drinking, many people had already drank a little hot, unbuttoned their big padded jackets, some leaned on their chairs and started bragging, and some thoughtful people also came over with wine glasses. "Fengzi, I respect you," a chubby man said with a glass of wine. "As for me, it's a bit difficult right now, I'm really embarrassed to talk to you, I really can't help it, I made some money this year, and in winter the village has lost the money, and they don't even have the money to buy seeds and fertilizers after the new year, can you arrange a job?" "How can I arrange it for you?" Lu Feng said with a glass of wine. "I can definitely arrange it for you, but I can't arrange it now. Look at you." The other party was slightly dissatisfied. "I just entered the factory to be an ordinary worker." "That's not a matter of your words. It's the first time I open my mouth to you, classmate." No, Lu Feng hurriedly said, "I can't control the factory now. GMA food is no longer in my hands." "Aren't you kidding me, the factory you opened is not in your hands," the other party said, suddenly raised the wine glass in his hand, poured a glass of white wine down, and grinned, "Brother, I've done it, you see. Let's do it, no matter what, we are classmates and brothers, and I will definitely not feel wronged in my heart." These words made Lu Feng unable to drink this wine. "I can't drink this wine. I really can't do it for you, classmate," Lu Feng said to classmate who next to him, "I really can't control GMA now. Don't look at me as the founder, I'm almost out." Classmate who and Lu Zhang thought that Lu Feng wanted them to help out, and classmate who said, "God damn, you gamble all day long, it's all your own business until today, you can't rely on anyone. I'll help you, you have to live up to your expectations, I think Fengzi is right, don't give me a drink and go back to your place. Gauden's face was full of disappointment, and he staggered to his place. Seeing that he was gone, Lu Zhang picked up the cigarette on the table to give Lu Feng some smoke, but Lu Feng waved his hand and refused. Fengzi, classmate who put his arms around Lu Feng's back and whispered, I have made some money in the past 2 years. I originally wanted to invest in something else, but I know you have a factory. The packaging and raw materials are all made by myself, so I have to help you, right? Why doesn't Lu Feng sound right? Help yourself? The two of us are the people I trust the most. I understand that when you buy those supporting factories, you are afraid that the supplier will cause trouble for you. I am your iron buddy. My factory is your factory, so I think I have to do this for you. Classmate who looked at Lu Feng with a firm look. Lu Feng can be considered to have met an expert. He wanted to help him, but he said that he would help himself. This person came out of the countryside in his 20s and has been here today. You are really, that's great, you're too polite. Lu Feng looked at him and said, it's not good to invest with that money. If I lose money to you, I'll feel bad about it. Don't talk about it, don't say that, it hurts my feelings. Classmate who picked up the wine glass in front of him and sighed, I have deep feelings, and I really want to help you. Think about it, my supporting factory, your food factory, if you add it all together, it won't be prosperous. The key is that the supporting factory has been losing money. It supplies the food factory at cost. Lu Feng said to him. Can you make me pay for our relationship? Can. Look at you, are you kidding me? Really? Lu Feng said with a serious face, I'm almost out now. GMA Foods has grown a lot, has introduced too many shareholders, has formed a board of directors, voted to choose a professional manager, developed the pattern has been established, and I have no power to change it. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 486. Classmate Hu and Lu Zhang looked at each other. They both felt that Lu Feng didn't want to help. As for saying that he didn't say anything, it was impossible. They don't know much about the business model, and they don't even understand how the factories they built will be kicked out of the game. Brother Feng, if you think your old classmates are not qualified to hang out with you, you can clearly say that we are good buddies and understand very well, but you can't lie to us. Lu Zhang helped, your company, you said it doesn't matter, doesn't this treat us as fools? The people present here agree very much. It is too insulting to people's IQ to say that their own business is not worth it. Lu Feng was watched by everyone. He really didn't lie about this. He had no choice but to say, really, if I have the final say, I will arrange everything for you today. You should know the people from GMA Food Factory. If you have a higher position, just ask if you don't know. This is what you said. If GMA has the final say, you will arrange everything, and the words will count. Who was excited? Yes, that's what I said. Go to the horizon, I can't control GMA Foods right now, Lu Feng said seriously. Classmate who said towards Lu Zhang, go to my car and bring my eldest brother, I know the deputy director of GMA, give him a call. Fengzi, this is not an old classmate running on you, this is what you said. It's okay, you can ask, Lu Feng calmly said. Lu Zhang took the car keys and trotted downstairs to get his eldest brother. After a while, he walked up and handed the eldest brother to Hu. Many people want to see the legendary big brother. Classmate Hu found a business card and began to dial the number. After fiddling for a long time, he said that the signal was not very good and stood by the window. The phone was connected, and Deputy Director He answered the phone and asked, who is it? Old He, I'm Hansen, Happy New Year. Han-san, Happy New Year, what's the matter? I'm quite busy. Deputy Director He looked anxious at the pile of reports on the table. Just to ask you something, GMA Food is now Lu Feng's, you know, I'm classmates with him, now he has the final say, classmate who asked very bluntly. I don't know this very well. The headquarters is now in the capital, and a boss named Gao has always been in charge, but he came a few days ago. Deputy director, he said. Then can you help me ask? I want to make sure. I heard that what the board of directors is making now, but we don't understand it. I just want to know, if he said it, is it okay? Okay, about this trivial matter, I'll ask you at the factory director's office next door, and I'll get back to you later. Deputy director, he said a few words and hung up the phone. Classmate who put away the big brother's antenna, sat back in his seat, put it on the table, and said, Fengzi, it's not that I ran against you. It's okay, you can ask. Lu Feng said indifferently. Lu Zhang watched Lu Feng so calm and didn't feel like he was lying. Today's class reunion was organized by classmate who at his expense. If Lu Feng really said it, it would be a big loss. Deputy director, he went into Director Li's office with a few folders and put them on the table to talk about his work. Before leaving, he asked, Director Li, we, GMA Foods, are still talking about Mr. Lu. Does it count? Mr. Lu? He's the founder, but he said it doesn't matter now. There is already a board of directors, which are controlled by major companies, such as President Gao, Vice President Ding. These are all in charge of the company, and they also have a certain share of equity. I also have equity. Lu Feng is now a major shareholder at best, Director Li said without raising his head. Oh, what's the matter? Then he can't get involved in this kind of supplier. For example, if I want to become a supplier, it's useless to find him. It's useless, it's better to find President Gao, and the county magistrate might as well take care of it now. Deputy director, he nodded thoughtfully, stood up and walked out, returning to the office to call back to classmate Hu. Hey! Can you hear me? Hu said in a loud voice. When he was talking, he pulled out the big brother's antenna by the way, stood up and walked towards the window. Lu Feng laughed when he saw him like this. That's why he didn't buy Big Brother, it's not as good as PHS after many years. I can hear, Han-san, I just asked. Now that Lu Feng doesn't care about anything, he's just a shareholder, so it doesn't matter what he said. Deputy director, he asked, did you hear that? I heard it, I heard it. Classmate who felt uncomfortable for a moment. He spent money to set up 3 tables of meals. With such a result, he also went out to hang out. With his current achievements, he absolutely dazzled everyone of his age. In the end, when Lu Feng was beside him, he had to accompany his smiling face. Now that he doesn't care about anything, there is no good temper. He sat down again, glanced at Lu Feng and said, why are you messing around like this? The more you mess up, the more you lose your mind. I can't help it either. If a company wants to develop, it needs financing, and it has to bring in shareholders. The more you bring in, the more the company is. Once the founder loses control of the board of directors, he is basically faced with the situation of taking the money and leaving. All right, Lu Feng said with a smile. You're still laughing? You also think you're very funny, don't you? I finally took a chance and got up, but the result is not important, so I let others take it away. When I was in school, I thought you couldn't do it, so I let the second pole block the toilet and fight. Classmate who leaned on the chair and scratched his head. After thinking about it, he said, I tell you, you have to pay for the 3 tables of meals today. Since you stretched your hips, I won't tell you that. It's okay, everyone is a classmate. It's just a meal. I'll pay for it. Lu Feng was very polite. The 3 table people began to mutter, whispering. What's wrong? Didn't you hear it? He doesn't say it now. Isn't it his business? Let people do it. Let me tell you, now there is no power, and there is no support behind it. If you want to become bigger, it is as difficult as going to the sky. That's right, who wouldn't be jealous of a business that makes money? I'll just say, he dresses like a second bastard, and he doesn't look like a boss. Some words came into Lu Feng's ears, which made him a little embarrassed, but it didn't matter, they were classmates, but they all met by chance, not to mention that Lu Feng didn't remember anything, it was just about the meal. "You are in the south now, aren't you?" Hu asked. "Right. Which city?" "Suzhou, Shenzhen, I bought a house in Shenzhen." "Take some money and enjoy it?" "Look at you, you know what's most important. As a businessman, your connections are the most important. If you have some money, go buy a house. You've been a petty person all your life. It won't be a big deal." Classmate Hu shook his head. Hearing this, Lu Feng was speechless. It is estimated that the money he spends to make those contacts is not as fast as buying a few houses in the next 10 years. "I'm also in Shenzhen. Go and ask. I'm a well-known name. Anyone who mentions me must not call me President Hu." "What is this?" "This is money, do you understand?" "I don't understand this." Lu Feng shrugged with a half-smile, "I'm honest." "You were finished when you were in school, and now you are finished," Hu said, knocking the cigarette ashes. "That is the relationship between classmates, otherwise in Shenzhen, you can't get in touch with me at all. I tell you, it is the kind of special high-end. There are foreigners in the banquet, do you know? The other day, there was a blonde foreigner who saw me and rushed in front of me. He was very excited. He told me that I admired you very much and wanted to hang out with me. Brother, let me tell you, I was in the humming area, trying to mess with me too much. I don't care about it." I told him no at that time. After being rejected by me, the foreigner was crying and his pants were wet. "Are you sure he didn't pee?" Lu Feng frowned. "What do you know, that kind of high-end banquet, have you been to it?" Lu Feng shook his head. He really didn't attend that kind of boring banquets very much recently, and Zhang Fengxia blocked all the invitations. Lu Zhang said on the side, "Han San is very open there, and knows a lot of bigwigs." "That's right, I told you about a man worth hundreds of billions. He held my hand at the time and said he wanted me to be the president of his company, but I refused at the time. I said, I don't want to be your president, give me 2 years, I am worth hundreds of billions as much as you." Classmate Hu sat there with the words pretentious written on his face. "Okay, great, the pride of our class." Lu Zhang took the lead in applauding. Lu Feng glanced at it. "The pride of our class wasn't me, it only took a few minutes, so it's his pride." Everyone at the scene applauded, and Lu Feng also sat aside to applaud. 100 billion worth, this. Lu Feng slapped his mouth and said, "There is really no such company now, maybe several billions. Some companies do foreign trade, shipping, and various integrated industry companies. Billions. Look at you, you don't know anything, don't talk if you don't know. Do you think we are a poor place? There are several 100 billion bosses, you don't believe me, do you?" He wrapped his arms around Lu Feng's neck and said, "Do you look down on me?" "No, you're the pride of our class, how could I look down on you? I'm full, I've seen the people I should meet, I went out to check out, and went back." By the way, Lu Feng was already about to retreat. "Don't go, you just don't believe it, I'll contact you to open your eyes." Classmate Hu began to take out his business card from his pocket. Lu Feng was a little helpless in his seat, and the others were leaning their necks, wanting to see what the phone number of the CEO of 100 billion was. The local county magistrate and several leaders in charge walked in with wine glasses in their hands, and everyone turned to look at the door. "Mr. Lu," the county magistrate smiled at Lu Feng and said, "Long time no see, Happy New Year." "Happy New Year." Lu Feng stood up and shook hands with others, suddenly remembering that he had promised them to build a factory here. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 487. Lu is always getting more and more temperamental. "I happened to be out for dinner today. I saw you when you were going upstairs. At that time, I told Lao Yu and the others that this is a character in our county. The county magistrate grabbed Lu Feng. Hands, said very excited. It's not a character, you are the character. A new building has been built in our county. I saw it when I came back. The roads over there are all new. Do a good job for the people, Lu Feng praised. The county magistrate looked a little embarrassed, and a man next to him said, "That's the new county office building." Oh, Lu Feng reacted a little embarrassedly and added, "Explain, the business environment here is good, the finances are good, and you have done a good job. The business environment here has really improved a lot." The county magistrate took over the conversation and said, "Mr. Lu, I remember you had a meal with me last year and said something." "Really?" "Hiss." Lu Feng took a breath, recalled it carefully, and said, "I have too many things about me. It seems that there is such a thing. Don't take it offense. I see many people all day long. It doesn't matter, you said last year that you would build a factory here for us. I also paid special attention to it. I told the people below to give the best treatment. As long as GMA Foods builds a factory here, everything can be said. I hope, looking forward to seeing it." The county magistrate patted Lu Feng's shoulder with his hand and said, "I just said that Mr. Lu could not disappoint our folks. He is too busy, which is understandable." Student who stood by the side with a wine glass. He was very willing to make friends with the leaders in the county. In small places, these people are people who cover the sky with only one hand. "Mayor Wang, I'm Hu Han, nicknamed Hu Hansen, and the office director of our county, Lin Dongdong, that's my uncle Lin." "Oh, you are Hu Han. I have heard of you. You are young and promising. As long as you are willing to come back to develop more for your hometown, I believe your hometown will definitely get better and better," Magistrate Wang said. Scene talk. Uncle Wang, don't you know, who called his uncle very intimately, and said, "GMA Food, now that he has said it doesn't matter, you don't need to be polite to him." Magistrate Wang looked at Lu Feng with suspicious eyes, and asked, "What's the matter?" "GMA Food is a key enterprise in the province. It's the introduction of the board of directors system. It's normal under the system. I really didn't say anything about building a factory." Lu Feng also took the opportunity to get off the donkey and smiled, "I'm sorry, there is a chance. If so, I will definitely give back to my hometown." "Why did the factory you built yourself become someone else's?" "Well, the new building has been built, and there are no tables, chairs, and benches in it, so it's your contribution, that, the county. Tianmu Furniture Factory, you can go from there," he instructed Lu Feng. Lu Feng is very familiar with this kind of routine, and sometimes it is really embarrassing. He said, "If I have the opportunity, I will definitely give back to my hometown. I really don't have a lot of money recently, and I am also busy. Last year was too busy. The province there are more people walking around, people are afraid of being famous and pigs are afraid of being strong. This leader invites you to dinner, and the other is to plan an industrial park or something." "Is that so?" Magistrate Wang's expression changed slightly. After thinking about it, he asked Lu Feng, "Follow our province?" "I'm not familiar, but I have a good relationship with Huang Tingting." Lu Feng looked at him and said. Classmate who didn't know if he was drinking a bit too much, but he still wanted to show it, and said, "Uncle Wang, it's really not good for him. I know a lot of bosses in the south. Really, people's big money can't do it. I'll do it for you, I can do it with a phone call, and I know a billionaire boss." 100 billion, several people next to Lao Yu were puzzled. "Yes, I'll look for the business card." Student who continued to look for his business card, and while looking for it, he swore that he was definitely a big boss, and people were very happy to help with such trivial matters as tables, chairs, and benches. Classmate who searched for a while and found half a business card. The top half was torn off, leaving only a paging sign on it. Seeing him like this, Lu Feng was also speechless. "I'm really sorry, I'll give you a toast." Lu Feng picked up the wine glass, and there was a saying that the king of hell is so easy to see a little devil. The more troublesome people are, the more troublesome they are. To treat such people, you have to be polite. Some of them are very self-respecting. If you look at him a little bit, the other party thinks that you don't treat me as an official. Mr. Lu, don't forget the people who dig wells when you drink water. No matter where you go, you have to think about going home. No matter how good it is outside, it's not your home. As for this wine, I drank it. Not much to say, it's all in the wine. The other party touched the glass as he spoke, and then drank it all. Lu Feng also followed suit. Student who stood aside, and everyone present stood up. It is not easy for them to see such a leader. It is difficult to contact them on weekdays. Some people want to be polite and leave an impression, but they cannot get in. If so, just stand. The paging station, "Call this number for me," who said with his eldest brother, "I just said that there was a leader who asked him to do something, and call me back when he sees it." After hanging up the phone, classmate who put the eldest brother on the table, picked up the glass and said, "Uncle Wang, I wanted to invite you to dinner before, but you were too busy. Today I will toast you. If you are free the other day, I will invite you to dinner. This wine, I've done it." Classmate who drank all his words and made a lot of money. All the classmates also wanted to hold him. It seemed that classmate who was smarter and wanted to develop locally. As for Lu Feng, I don't know if we can meet in the future. Not to mention useless. Seeing that he wanted to be in the limelight, Lu Feng naturally wouldn't rob him. It's too late for him to hide now. We are full of talented people here. It's rare that you are a primary school classmate who can produce such two talents. The two of you are like the crouching dragon and phoenix in the class. Magistrate Wang praised. "Uncle Wang, what you said is great, but in front of Uncle Wang, I will always be a primary school student who said." Drip. Drip. The pager in Lu Feng's pocket rang. He took it out and took a look. His face changed, and it said, "There is a leader looking for you to do business, call back." Behind it is a phone number. "Who is it?" Classmate who said dissatisfiedly at Lu Feng, "You said you can't do anything, Uncle Wang is here, what do you do with your broken pager? What can be more important than Uncle Wang?" "Uncle Wang, sit down." "No, no," Lu Feng put the pager in his pocket, but was muttering in his heart, where did he get his business card, and it was still half. This year, Lu Feng has indeed sent out business cards a lot. Everyone is active in a city, and the circle is so large. In addition, who is a person who can talk, so it is normal to think about it. "My daughter-in-law told me to go back." Lu Feng felt that he should go, and made up a nonsense, "My wife called me." Magistrate Wang was not satisfied when he heard this, and his face was not good. "You said you really can't support the wall." Who sees that Lu Feng hates iron if not steel? How could he have the opportunity to seize the opportunity to set up a factory? If he had such an opportunity, he would have. There was a lot of confusion. "Uncle Wang is here, where are you going?" "Sit down for me." Classmate who pressed Lu Feng to the seat, took a bottle of liquor from the side, and said, "There may be something wrong over there, I'll take a while." The call came back, "Uncle Wang, don't worry, I know a lot of bosses, and if I want to do something, I can make a phone call and it will definitely work." Lu Feng sat there without saying a word, like an honest man who didn't fit in with the group. Even other classmates came up with a polite word, not to mention classmate Hu and Lu Zhang, who were talking about spittle. "Can't hear it anymore. It seems that there is nothing in this world that they can't do. As long as a few phone calls are made to move the factory over there to the county, it will be a matter of minutes." After waiting for a few minutes, but still no call, classmate who was a little embarrassed, and picked up the Big Brother Avenue, "I will call another side, Don't think he is rich. I missed my call today. I don't recognize him as a friend. Really, I am here. People don't look at the lack of assets, but the people you know are absolutely amazing, and I rely on friends when I go out, and I have a lot of friends. Classmate who picked up Big Brother and called the paging station, still using the same set of words. Lu Feng couldn't sit still. He took out his pager and wanted to turn it off. It's not over for you, classmate who stared at Lu Feng and said, what are you showing off a broken pager? Even if it's a Hanxian's worth a few dollars, you can spend it all over the place. You're a born boy. I haven't seen you in the big world. Look at Uncle Wang, this is the character. Lu Feng rubbed his face with his hands. He was really out of luck. Meeting such a person was a disaster for him. Just as he was about to find another excuse to go to the toilet, the pager rang. Drip. Drip. I see what your wife sent you. Such a big man is afraid of his wife all day long. It's funny but not funny, classmate who picked up the pager and saw the message above. You. My wife told me to go home. Lu Feng reached out to get the pager back. Magistrate Wang cut it off, glanced at the news above and was stunned. He frowned at classmate who and said, didn't you say the boss of 100 billion, why did you beat him? Classmate who is very sure that this half of the business card is indeed a very rich boss, and he stole the business card. At that time, he was drinking with a boss worth hundreds of millions, and the other party boasted and got a business card of the boss, which is very powerful. Knowing that such a character would never be accessible to him with his abilities, classmate who quietly tore off the business card in half and put it in his pocket. The original plan was to send a message, first to say that the call was wrong, and then to make a mistake, to meet and become friends, but I didn't expect it to be Lu Feng. He was stunned there, looking at Lu Feng in disbelief. Didn't he sell the equity of GMA to enjoy it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 488. Lu Feng was stunned for a moment, then responded and asked, yes, why did you call me here? Me, classmate who took another look at the half of the business card in his hand. He was sure that he was calling it wrong, and said, I called it right. You don't know where the business card came from, and you paid hundreds of billions of dollars to the boss, but you found it on my head. Are you saying it's funny? Lu Feng smiled and said, it was really my daughter-in-law just now. I really should go back. Magistrate Wang, we can have a meal when we have time. As long as I can, I will definitely do it for you. Okay, keep in touch. Come back to see more. Wang County Magistrate stood up and said, I'll go back there and continue to eat. If there is a suitable company, I can match it. This is for sure, please. Lu Feng made a gesture of invitation. After Magistrate Wang walked out, Lu Feng said to everyone, classmates, this gathering has really enhanced the friendship of our classmates. Well, I can get together every year, which is also my wish. It is my honor to be classmates with you. I was thinking of singing karaoke in the afternoon, but my daughter-in-law pressed me. Everyone understood Lu Feng's words. Han-san, go to the south and keep in touch. We are all classmates. If you have any questions, you can talk. Don't worry, when you go out, you rely on help. What's more, our relationship is so strong. I will invite you today, and you will invite you next year. Eat and drink well. I'll go first, sorry. What Lu Feng said can be said to be all-inclusive. As for stepping out of this gate, it is difficult to find Lu Feng. Going downstairs, Lu Feng not only settled the accounts of the 3 tables, but also settled the account of the county magistrate Wang. This face still has to be given. It can be solved with a little money, and there is no need to make too much trouble. Classmate who was sitting in his seat with half a business card in his hand. Hey, I'm Han-san, I want to ask you something. Do you know a boss, his name is Lu Feng, who asked on the other end of the phone. There are many bosses surnamed Lu, which one do you say? It's the last time I had dinner with President Lee, isn't the boss who he boasted about at the dinner table surnamed Lu? Classmate who asked nervously. You mean Mr. Lu of GFN Electronics? How could I know someone? If I knew that kind of great person, would I use all kinds of banquets to strengthen my network? That Lu is not always very young, in his 20s, he used to be a food company, who asked. That's right, you don't know it if you don't live in this circle, but everyone knows it in the electronics industry. That's an old god. He used to start a business and made a GMA food, and then he cashed out and rushed into the electronics industry with 100 million yuan. The electronics industry has been turned upside down, TV sets have been so cheap for more than a year, it's all because of him, and the price war is about to come out. Let me tell you something, classmate who took a puff of cigarette and felt his throat dry. He took a deep breath and said, he's my classmate. What? Lu is always your classmate? Damn it, you're prosperous, the other end of the phone exclaimed excitedly, go back here and ask him to come out for dinner and set up a game, I tell you, a lot of big the boss wants to meet him. I was having dinner with him just now, and I seem to have offended him at this moment, classmate who wanted to die. What did he do? How could he be so powerful? If you don't ask him to do anything today, just briefly describe the friendship between your classmates, and then apologize for hitting him in school, the relationship between the two will definitely get better. Classmate who is very clever. He knows very well that you can't withdraw money with a rich person. To show that you are willing to pay for the other party, even if you give money, you have to give in 3 and 5. You have to show yourself like a pure white lotus, not the power of money. It's all messed up, classmate who patted his thigh with his hand, regretting that he said, I thought his GMA food was messed up, he lost control, and he was sloppy. Who would have thought that not only did he not have diarrhea, but also it went higher? Everyone in the audience looked at Mr. Hu. Lu Zhang sat aside and looked at him with a remorseful look on his face, and said, would you like to catch up now and say a few words? The first impression has been ruined, is it useful? Now chasing it out will only make people more disgusted. Classmate who waved his hands weakly, drink. Lu Feng was originally worried that Hu was chasing after him, but he still had to be polite. It was comfortable to deal with smart people, and everyone knew about some things and didn't need to point it out. In this society, don't put your purpose on your face. Song Swimei took a large family back home, and within 2 hours of arriving home, she went to the old doctor's house, a front room facing the street, with a weathered nylon cloth iron frame hanging on the plaque, which said the old doctor of Song Dynasty. The house is also relatively old. A long wire hangs from the roof with a tungsten filament lamp hanging from it. There is a wooden chair next to it. Zhang Xiaoyan sits there and waits, stroking the armrest with some uneasiness. I don't know how many people have touched the armrest, and it has been rubbed to shine. Duo sat next to him and shook his head, looking at the dark red medicine cabinet behind him. Mom, it smells bad. Traditional Chinese medicine, don't move around here, be obedient. Zhang Xiaoyan touched her little head as she spoke. After waiting for almost an hour, the person in front finally left. Song Swimei took Zhang Xiaoyan to the counter and sat down. There was an old man in his 70s sitting at the counter, wearing a white lab coat and reading glasses. Slightly thin, he raised his head and glanced at Zhang Xiaoyan. Where are you uncomfortable? The old doctor asked. Song Swimei said in a low voice, I just can't get pregnant. How long has it been? Is it impossible to conceive, or not? The old doctor continued to ask. It's been several years, but I just can't get pregnant, Zhang Xiaoyan said, and quietly glanced at Duo. Seeing that she was sitting obediently in her position, she felt relieved. Stretch out your hand, put it here, call the pulse. Zhang Xiaoyan put her hand over, and the old Chinese doctor took the pulse while asking about the situation. Have you been to the big hospital? What did the doctor say there? After asking all the questions, he sighed after a long time and said, qi stagnation and blood stasis, deficiency of kidney qi, and loss of qi and blood are quite serious. Combined with the situation you went to the big hospital just now, it is simply a blockage. Can it be cured? Song Swimei asked hastily. I have to take a few medicines to see this first, supplement it first, and cooperate with acupuncture to clear it. As for whether it can be done, I don't know. You have something to do with qi, don't get angry. Did you often have chest tightness before? The old doctor asked. Zhang Xiaoyan nodded. In the past, when Lu Feng beat her, she became desperate as she lived her life, and her chest often hurt. Qi and blood stasis, relax your heart, don't be angry, don't make things difficult for yourself. If your mood is good, everything is fine. I'll give you a few medicines, and then do acupuncture for a while, okay? Okay, how long does it take? Song Swimei asked. Looking at the specific effect, it will definitely not get better within a month. The internal organs have become like this. It is not a time to recuperate. If the effect is good, it will be about 2 months, and then I will drink a few medicines later. Okay, as long as it can be cured, as long as it takes. Zhang Xiaoyan seemed to make up her mind. Children, Chinese medicine pays attention to qi. If the qi is not smooth, it will be difficult for the divine doctor to treat it. Smile more. There is a saying that laughing is 10 years old, and the mood is good and the spirit is happy. Many diseases are cured without treatment. There is so much happiness in life. The old Chinese doctor enlightened. Unfortunate things are often 8 or 9, and I am happy in 1 or 2 middle schools. It's mainly up to you. Thanks. You're welcome. With a large package of herbs, and after the needles were pierced, Zhang Xiaoyan took Duo back. The second day of the new year was the day when the son-in-law came to the door. Lu Feng's parents had already prepared something for Lu Feng. When they were having dinner in the evening, he muttered, and Lu Feng said that he knew, and went to the room where the phone was located. First, I called Zhu Lidong, asked about the market situation in the past, and then talked a lot about VCD. Lu Feng made VCD as the company's annual product, and it is expected that the sales volume this year will be no less than 5 million units, bringing considerable profits. Then I called Zhang Fengxia again, and said her grandfather a new year, and then asked Zhang Fengxia to go to work in a few days to set up a VCD product business group to connect with a special person. Mr. Lu, with such a large investment, will there be any problems with a new product? I think we should produce it first and test it in the market, Zhang Fengxia reminded. This product does not need to be tested, and I am very optimistic. You can be optimistic. What about Sister Xiaoyan? I'll give her a new year, Zhang Fengxia asked. She went back to her mother's house and left this morning. You don't follow her when she returns to her mother's house. Do you have her phone number? I'll chat with her for a while, Zhang Fengxia said with a smile. I've been bored at home these past 2 days, and I haven't talked much with my peers. I still have something to say to Sister Xiaoyan. I'll call her later. You can call after I finish. After Lu Feng gave him the phone number, he hung up. The phone of Zhang Xiaoyan's house rang for a long time. Zhang Fuqiao's daughter-in-law picked it up and asked, "Who is it?" "I, Lu Feng," asked Xiaoyan to answer the phone. Zhang Xiaoyan is now sitting on the Kong chatting with Zhang Xiaohong, Zhang Fuqiao, Jiang Furode, and Xie Heng. It is nothing more than Xie Heng wanting to build a supporting factory, and Zhang Xiaohong is working for his sister. "Xiaoyan, Lu Feng is calling," Zhang Fuqiao's daughter-in-law shouted from the door. "Come on." Zhang Xiaoyan got off the Kong, put on slippers and went to the next room, answered the phone and said, "Is something wrong?" "I miss you," Lu Feng said with a smile. "I can't call my wife if I have nothing to do." "I didn't see it this morning, it's only been a few hours." "By the way, I went to see an old doctor today," Zhang Xiaoyan said in a low voice. "It can be cured, mainly because of the blockage of qi and blood, which was caused by previous anger." "Ah, am I angry?" Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 489. When Lu Feng heard this conclusion, he hurriedly said that it was because he was not good. It was not her fault that things had turned out this way, but she was afraid that she thought too much. There was a lot of comfort on the phone. In the past 2 years, Lu Feng has known Zhang Xiaoyan too well. She is a very simple woman, as simple as a blank piece of paper. If Su Yorong is a magazine full of stories, then Zhang Xiaoyan is a diary, nothing but the little things in his life. Her heart is not big enough. Before Lu Feng was born again, her biggest dream was to work hard, go to get off work every day, and grow old slowly. In fact, there are many women who live this kind of life at a glance. Life is calm, simple, and happy. Lu Feng is different. After chatting a lot on the phone, Zhang Xiaoyan told Lu Feng that she wanted to stay here to do acupuncture after the new year, but Duo had to go back to school, which was a bit worrying. She doesn't start school until the first month of the month. "I'll pick her up at that time." "It won't take long," Lu Feng said. "You're so busy, do you have time?" Huasha's side is easy to talk about. "I told the manager to work." "It's okay, it's not a few days away." Lu Feng talked about going to her house tomorrow and hung up the phone. Lu Feng didn't want to eat dinner, and Lu Feng's father also saw that he was fine when he came back, so he said that there was a mahjong parlor on the East Street where he could play poker, but Lu Feng waved his hand and refused. After eating, Lu Feng lay on the bed early. His thoughts were a little confused, and he didn't know what he was thinking, when the pager suddenly beeped. I took it over and glanced at it, and it said, "Don't even dare to call me, forget me. Su Yorong." Lu Feng was startled when he saw these words. He sat up and put the pager aside, and began to seriously think about Su Yorong. He knew that Su Yorong hated himself to the bone. Her nearly 10 years of struggle was ruined by Lu Feng, let alone him. If Lu Feng encounters such a thing, he is afraid that the other party will be smashed to ashes. More importantly, the road she has walked is harder than anyone else. That's not an anger that can be vented with a few slaps in the face. The reason why she is working with Lu Feng now is to make a comeback. This woman. Lu Feng sometimes admires her very much. She has a ruthless strength in her bones. She can endure what ordinary people say can't bear it, but that strength makes him afraid. As long as she was allowed to go to a university, Lu Feng thought he couldn't compare to her. At that time, Su Yorong climbed up to President Chen, and she probably thought about hanging the big tree, but she met Lu Feng again and wanted to use Lu Feng's strength to do it. Lu Feng chose her again. After all, it was his interests that were at fault. Jiafeng Electronics developed according to Lu Feng's ideas, and had to go through a very long dark period. The profit of the products was not enough to support the research and development funds, and there would be funding holes every year. Lu Feng needs money. And because he didn't want to control the company's control by a financial company, he couldn't go public and raise money. This situation was almost infernal for Lu Feng, the reborn. Not to mention other ordinary people, so Lu Feng also needs a financial company to stand behind him to support him. Risk and opportunity coexist. Lu Feng sighed, put on his slippers and went to the room where the phone was placed, and called Su Yorong. The phone rang for a while before connecting, and the voice on the other end was quite pleasant, and it sounded like it was going well. "Mr. Lu, I've been waiting for your call, but I'm scratching my head. I just heard people say that the ancients yearned for love, and I also have experience." Su Yorong teased a little. I also know that Pan is heartbroken. Happy New Year. These few days are quite busy, Lu Feng explained. There's no need to talk so much between the two of us. Last time you told me about using a sum of money to leverage high leverage to move a company, continue to talk about it. By the way, is Zhang Xiao Yan here? Su Yorong was sitting on the sofa wearing a light blue silk pajamas, dangling a red wine glass in his hand, and the bottle of red wine next to him was half gone. There was only herself in the empty home, and it seemed extremely lonely. She's not here, let's talk. If she's here, don't you think you can't see my news? I'm your panties, you can't see anyone, Su Yorong said a little sadly. I'm used to it, men seem to like this. For me, it's you who chose the wrong path. What can we talk about? Lu Feng didn't want to talk to her about this. I'm the only one this year. I cooked a mouthful of noodles on the evening of the New Year's Eve, and I felt a little down. Drinking alone is the easiest way to get drunk. I'll think of you when I drink, and drink, Su Yorong sighed. Where's your boss, Chen? I've said it all, I'm just underpants, and some occasions are not suitable for me, but there is also good news. She promised me to personally handle an investment project. The capital should be 50 million Hong Kong dollars. Converted into RMB, it happens to be more than 10 million. But the company's finances are very strong. Su Yorong raised her chin and drank the rest of the red wine in one gulp. Her snow-white neck was a bit tempting under the light. I want to get this money out, do you have a solution? Investment, layer upon layer of shells, and then falsify return data, Lu Feng said solemnly. I also thought about it, but I don't know where to vote, and I don't know anyone. After all, I'm just a weak woman. Su Yorong's voice turned soft. Mr. Su, why don't we do this? You are a weak woman. There are no women in the world. If you have anything to say, feel free to say it, Lu Feng asked bluntly. I want you to register a financial company alone. I will invest the money in you. By the way, the legal person of this company must be you, Su Yorong said firmly. Lu Feng was stunned for a moment. The other party obviously wanted to tie the two together. Once this was leaked, Su Yorong illegally obtained the company's funds, and Lu Feng used the shell company for investment, which was fraud. If you can find any company you can do, I won't participate. Besides, if something goes wrong, I can still get you. Draw me? Ha 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 ha, Su Yorong laughed. If you don't step on my feet, I'll have to go to your ancestral grave to kowtow. Mr. Lu, what am I worried about? I'm afraid I'll repeat the same mistakes. No one will twice in a pit. Since we're reconciled, we have to move forward. I can't see the past, I need you, Lu Feng said seriously. What's wrong with you? I can tell you that something happened, and I'm also accomplice. What? Why don't you say nice things? On this condition, you have to agree, and you have to agree. If you don't agree, Su Yorong's voice hardened. I don't promise what you can do to me, Lu Feng said angrily. It's not very good, it's just to make you stinky on the street. I'll first find 10 big-bellied women, let the media interview them, and say that you are the ones who made them big, and then find 10 men and say that it's your boyfriend. I am Su Yorong now. I have nothing left, I have nothing left, I have a bad life, I will play with you. Lu Feng's head buzzed. I can't believe the media learned that Lu Feng had 10 belly fats and 10 boyfriends. This is no longer a social death, but a direct violent death. You have to give me hope. As long as you give me hope, I will be obedient. According to your words, only the poor will choose to die together, because the rich have a cost in everything they do. Su Yorong may feel that it is too pushy tension, he said softly, I have become, only good for you, no harm at all. I control Chen's capital, and I can help you in the financial market, banks, and other aspects. Lu Feng knew that it was not a good thing to mess with her, but Lu Feng needed her. Okay, I promise you, this time we are on the same boat. The boat overturned and we all drowned. Lu Feng thought for a while and said, I want to say that now I have enough capital to make this happen. I am the largest on a ship, and if you think you can take revenge on me by overturning the ship, then you have made a mistake. Why am I willing to take revenge on you? It's too late for people to love you. Su Yurong on the other end of the phone seemed to have suddenly changed someone, and even kissed the phone, very tired. Haha, Lu Feng smiled bitterly and said, it's a pleasure to cooperate. As for how to leverage the company's equity with high leverage, you should first find several banks that can mortgage the shares, and at the same time walk around with other shareholders, especially those who are interested in Mr. Chen. If you are dissatisfied, at the same time, prepare me the current trading rules of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Okay, what do you say and what I do? I'm not afraid of anything with you by my side. Su Yurong was very happy, smiling like an innocent girl. Don't do this, it's useless, just like that, the phone bill is quite expensive, hang up. After Lu Feng finished speaking, he hung up the phone and breathed a sigh of relief. In the face of a woman like Su Yurong, most men couldn't handle it, and no one knew what she was thinking. In the white lotus flowers of later generations, she can definitely dress herself up as the whitest one. It was already late. After Lu Feng came back, he slept very early and went back to his room yawning. Early the next morning, he packed some gifts in the car, and there were still some necessary etiquette. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Lu Feng drove the car towards the town where Zhang Xiaoyan was located. The Zhang family cleaned up the house a few years ago. Many relatives came today. As for the daughters-in-law of Zhang Fuqiao, Zhang Fulu, and Xie Heng, they circled Zhang Xiaoyan yesterday. I still hope that Lu Feng can help, but I don't dare to be like before. Now it's better for Zhang Xiaoyan. After returning home, Zhang Xiaoyan didn't even take the broom. Zhang Xiaoyan didn't agree to anything. She felt that her family's life was already very good, either living in a building or a small two-story Western-style building, which was something she didn't dare to think about before. Lu Feng had told her before that Zhang Xiaoyan was not weak, but that she had no bottom line when facing her family, and she didn't know how to refuse. Since she was a child, she would only do things with her head down. Lu Feng asked her to draw a line in her heart. No matter who you are, you can't cross this line. As long as you stick to it, these people will never say anything in front of you in the future, regardless of your feelings. When the other party dares to fight back for the first violation, there will be no second time. Otherwise, there will be endless demands in the future, which will never be filled, just like the elementary school text The Story of the Fisherman and the Goldfish.